ESG as a topic is still evolving. I think how regulators and the public certainly view environmental, social, and governance disclosures by corporations is evolving. We're at the very start of a long, long run here. Privacy is a great example. Privacy is not typically known as an ESG issue, but we're starting to see privacy-related disclosures and sustainability reporting. In fact, the very first ESG reporting standards from the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, includes privacy. It's standard 418, and it helps companies understand what they ought to be thinking about disclosing in an ESG report or a sustainability report when it comes to data privacy. Things like the number of leaks, the number of compromises a company has had. And that's where the risk comes in. Companies don't want to say something different in their ESG report or their sustainability reporting that they've said in other privacy-related documents. And under Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act, the FTC will look at practices and disclosures in these reports that the FTC reviews as deceptive. And so, for example, if the team focused on the environmental or ESG report is saying one thing that doesn't mirror what the company is also saying in its privacy policy and other privacy-related documents, that could cause some risk of liability from an FTCA perspective. Different states have their own version of consumer protection statutes. Think of a state version of the Federal Trade Commission Act. We don't have a lot of examples of state-related and even federal-related enforcement actions based on privacy-related statements made in a sustainability report. It is something, however, that companies should be mindful of going forward as more companies are issuing sustainability reports and more companies are starting to include privacy within the social of ESG reporting. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do see the FTC and other regulators looking more broadly, more holistically at corporate statements, whether they're verbal statements from corporate executives or statements made in ESG or sustainability reports, and looking for statements that could be considered misrepresentations, particularly with respect to privacy and how companies are using consumer data, how they're collecting it, how they're transferring it, how they're processing it.